Now, while it might be stretching it a bit, is it only me who feels this latest bout of strike action has got a smack of the winter of discontent about it? Just as Jim Callaghan had the road sweepers and the gravediggers, Margaret Thatcher had the miners and the printers, doesn't half feel as if Theresa May has got the same with transport sector strikes. The unions took strike action for a sizable chunk of December and have 3 days of action this week. No one else can take this sort of high-handed attitude to work. If you applied it here, it would mean June would only turn up for half of her scheduled appearances. Hang on, I'm starting to see some benefits after all. Well, now enough is enough. Enough lost days at work. Enough lost productivity. Enough missed medical appointments. Enough emotional turmoil. And enough relationship breakups. Yes, it's reported couples have split as a result of this lunacy. Tough new laws must be brought in fast. Otherwise, 2017 could turn into a year of discontent.
Do you know, you really have become the Daily Mail on two legs.
That's about 8 words in.
Yes, that's
about 8 words in.
You really have become. I mean, the idea that you should just instantly pass legislation to ban strikes is ridiculous.
Didn't say ban. Make it much, much tougher.
Well, they've done that already, and they've still voted for the strikes.
Yes, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have stopped the London Underground. It wouldn't have stopped British Airways. It wouldn't have stopped Southern. But if you come to Southern, the people watching this in Sussex and in Surrey, they can't go on like this. No, they're losing jobs.
But that's not only about the strike, that's about the way Southern Rail has run. I mean, the truth is that, what was weird about that strike, which I don't quite understand, is that somehow the government is picking up the cost of the strike. That is, that franchise is a different franchise to all the rest of the rail franchises. And you can't have to know, well, why on earth are the government putting up with this? Why doesn't the government do something about the company that's got the franchise before it starts attacking the people who are... Because clearly this isn't just about who shuts the doors. This is about a relationship between the people who work there and the people who use it and the company that runs it.
No. It's politically motivated. If ASLEF was still about, we'd probably still have gaslights and things like that. This is absolute. This is a Luddite union behaving in an irresponsible fashion.
But is it politically motivated both ways?
Well,
that's the real question.
I've got a clip, actually, and then I'll respond. So if we look at this clip, this is Sean Hoyle, who's in charge of the RMT union. So this is what he had to say not that long ago.
We've had 50 ballots for strike action this year. I'm not proud of that. I'm not bragging about it. That shows you the fight we're in. That shows you what our members are up against. If you spit on your own, they just wipe it away. But if we all spit together, we can drown the bastards.
Yeah, what a nice guy. He also went on to say, any trade unionist with any sense wants to bring down this bloody working class hating Tory government, and that's what we want to do. So absolutely there is a political motive towards all of this.
That's the rhetoric you get at any trade union congress.
But that's not acceptable.
No, but it's just the real question in all this is Southern Rail is not a very well-run company. It hasn't been for many years, and actually someone should have done something about that. Now, when you come to the tube strikes, I think you've got a different... I agree with Sadiq Khan. They seem to have gone to industrial action far too early when there was an opportunity to discuss much more, and I hope they don't do it again. But I think Southern Rail is a much more complicated project than just the drivers and the doors.
I would agree. I think Southern needs to lose that franchise. I think what they've been doing recently is just disgusting, how they can hold people hostage like this. But for me, the unions, it's almost like they're stuck in yesterday's world, because I understand that people want to preserve jobs and want to hold on, but the world of work is changing. Technology is upon us, and you cannot just grab and squeeze and hold and stop the change. You've got to be fluid, you've got to move with the change, train people to do different jobs as opposed to holding people hostage to protect jobs that already exist.
But with what you're saying there, Michelle, that's the problem. This government isn't training people to do new jobs for the new jobs of the future. And actually, Southern Rail is just an example. The bigger question here is the income inequality that we see happening all over the Western world. So for me, these unions striking is symbolic of something that's going to be happening all over again and again when we don't deal with the real problem.
And that's why I think you have to look at why people are striking. I mean, I think it's an incredible reaction to say, just stop them striking. Obviously, strikes are inconvenient. We all suffer. Nobody's going to stand up and say strikes are great and we welcome them. And I don't agree with all of the strikes, definitely. I mean, there are some examples of, I think, irresponsible strike action. But that doesn't mean that we should ban strikes.
Look at why they're striking.
Or that the instinct should be to just stop people striking without really looking at why they're striking. I mean, look at Southern. OK, as we've all agreed, Southern has been a very badly run franchise for a long time. Even though we might disagree about whether they're really looking at passenger interests, whether really they're fighting against modernisation, the fact is they suspect that by getting rid of driver-operated
they will cut
doors,
costs.
they're just looking to cut staff. We all know what it's like now at a tube station. If you need someone, you can't find anyone. The commercial interests are not necessarily running things in everybody's benefit. Look at BA. BA cabin crew earn £16,000 a year.
Right.
Who can live on that in London near a major airport?
They're not forced to go to
they knew the salary. They knew the salary when they applied for the job.
But Michelle and
if you don't want to work for £16,000,
and what better paid job are they going to just
without the right training?
Well, tell me how you'd run companies then. Everybody will get 40 grand.
We all know that if everybody is paid a fair wage, they're more likely not to strike, to be motivated to provide a better service. I don't run BA. I don't know exactly what the cost margins are. You can't tell me that paying cabin crew...
They don't have to. I mean, it's horrible, but guess what? They're not forced to do it at gunpoint. They know going in.
But they have rights, and that's why they're striking.
Never
and I can
underestimate what capitalism is about.
In
the end, and I've run companies, in the end, the job of a chief executive is to maximise profits.
Yes.
That's the job. Now,
that's one of their jobs, isn't it?
No, that's the main.
But they've also got to provide good quality service as well. So
but only if it maximises profit. For
them. Which
it does,
agree, but it's not
by
the sole
job. It does. No, but the job of the chief executive. If the chief executive doesn't increase profits year by year by year, he doesn't survive. He or she doesn't survive. Right, and that's the principal role. Now, in the society that is emerging, where a few people, including most of the chief executives, have got very rich, and most people, the rest aren't. How do you adjust to that? And it seems to me at some stage we're going to have a much more sophisticated sort of capitalism than the one we've got at the moment.
Greg, because it's not fair. And can I just say one thing to you?
Yeah, but then I just want to say what I want to bring in. But go ahead, Jim.
I'm actually really surprised that both you and Michelle would take this view, considering you are the sort of the one that's always fighting and flying the flag for the man on the street.
Because I want him or her to be able to get to work.
But you also surely would want him to be paid justly as well. What you're saying, Greg, is so true. This unfair system is unsustainable. And we're going to see this all over the place.
I think that we just don't know what's about to hit us. I did this topic a few weeks ago on The Pledge where I was talking about the fourth industrial revolution, the digitisation of the workplace. At the moment we're arguing around who presses a button on a train. We do not know what is about to hit us because the world, the landscape of work is going to change
which is why we need to retrain people.
We need to be able to rely on our government to provide people with the right skills, to guarantee minimum rights to workers. And when that fails, workers are standing up for their own rights, and who can blame them?
What do you mean you need to rely on the government?
Yeah, we do.
You're going to need fewer people opening doors on trains in the future where everything's automated, right? What jobs are those people going to do? They need to be getting trained to do jobs that are going to exist in 10 years' time.
But that's not just a government responsibility. Of course, it's partly.
It starts at primary school, Michelle.
A private organisation, they should be upskilling and reskilling their staff as well. That's not a government responsibility to train the staff of Southern Rail, for example.
And maybe that's something we'll see people striking over in the future. Who knows? All I know is companies aren't reskilling people in the way they need to. They're laying people off, understandably given their commercial pressures. But if you let capitalism unrestrained, as Greg's pointed out, people at the bottom lose out. There won't be jobs for them. They won't be getting a fair wage. Who's going to stand up for their rights? The government has not been doing that successfully.
It's capitalism that creates jobs. I hear what you say, and I hear what you say about British Airways workers. It's not a great salary, but I do take Michelle's point. They know when they go in, and no one's actually allowed me. The way I would want to handle industrial actions, if I can just get those points out there, currently ballots require 50% turnout in work to be valid before strike. That has to be far higher.
Well, we've had 70-80%
half the work. I know, but I want it high. And also the London Underground strike was meant to have cost London somewhere in the region of £300 million. I'm sorry, unions will have to have fines levied on them. Not the whole amount. I'm not expecting a union to pay 300 million. But if you decide to effectively bring the capital city to a halt, you will have to pay some kind of fine. We've got to stop this high-handed action. Otherwise, there's going to be a wave of strikes.
Can I ask both of you, honestly, so what do you want to do? Just to Do away with unions?
No, I just said. I just want tough...
That's his plan.
That's my plan. Much higher.
It's not going to stop strikes. It's not going to stop strikes.
If you put in those much higher criteria and they meet them and they still do it, what do you do next? I know what you'll do. You'll put in an even higher one.
No, in the transport...
because you're basically that view that the trade union shouldn't exist.
And no, never said that. And in fact, thanks to many people watching this now, their lives are safer, their jobs are safer in factories and elsewhere, and their working conditions are thanks to the unions. They were fantastic in their time. But something such as the road, Greg, you have to agree. I know I made a gag about we'd never see June, but in reality, these poor souls living, they have lost their jobs. Businesses are collapsing.
Yeah.
The union should be mandated to provide some form of skeleton service. I'm sorry, it's too important a job that you're in.
If Southern were actually functioning according to capitalist principles and having to pay the cost of the strikes themselves instead of being subsidised by the government, I mean, this is the worst of capitalism. It's kind of the worst case scenario. All of the disadvantages without any of the benefits. They're not being held accountable by market pressures. It's a complete joke. And yes, we're the ones suffering. Commuters, passengers, families. But it's not the workers who are to blame. It's the system they're reacting against. Surely you can see that. It's just common sense.
Always blame the bosses, honestly.
It's lost on them.
I know.
I agree with you, sister.